the vicissitudes of life of this parliament. You should tell us. Mr. Speaker, your audience, your speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please, you may resume your seats. Very happy to hear the song Tabanirbe. Tabanirbe, Tabanirbe, Kujum Yum Yum, Tabanirbe. Tabanirbe, Tabanirbe, Kujum Yum Yum, Tabanirbe. Tangayini ma pa pa pa, Tabanirbe. Tiani ma pa pa pa, Tabanirbe. Tu be bella bella kokole, bibi. La bizella tere inziye, bibi. Boko nambang bolo mare, kuba. Wa wa, kuba. Wa wa. Thank you so much. Ugbe Chairman, my very good friend and brother, who, like me, decided to live wherever we were because of passion to see our country develop, to chart new paths. I, as a practicing lawyer, joining politics. And he, as he stated, from Data Bank, deciding to run solo as a financial whiz kid. In those days, the Gen Zs call whiz kids now sharks. I don't know whether you know Gen Z generation. I'm a member of the baby boomers generation. And so you can see the difference, a long distance from baby boomers to Gen Z. We have a lot, and I want to kindly, and with the greatest respect to all of you, just adopt the existing protocol and to move on. I also want to apologize sincerely and from the bottom of my heart for keeping you waiting for all this while. I think there was some miscommunication with respect to the timing. We had to engage our true leaders, as I keep on referring to them, the traditional leaders, the chiefs of the region, and we had as many as 31 of them present at the Regional House of Chiefs. We couldn't do that within the time allocated us, which was 1 hour. And I'm sorry, very saddened that those of you who took to the time were here, I'm told, by 10:30, and we came more than 2 hours late. That really saddened me, and I sincerely apologize for that. Ghana is so blessed with both quality human resource and well endowed with natural resources. But one of the things I have observed and also experienced, and I'm included, is our attitude to life. Yesterday, I drew the attention of the media fraternity to this. Attitude. And we have to work on it as a people. I will just draw your attention to 2 incidents in the 80s. As a young man in the Ghana Law School in 1981, I was privileged to have a senior brother who was a chief state attorney at the Attorney General's Department in Accra. And he used to take me to a club in Accra, which was for members only. It was just by the beach, after the ministries, just by the beach. And it was for members only. Those days, those members were not many. High class. The creme de la creme. And I recall an Air Vice Marshal who was a member, and in one of our interactions at the club, he told us that there was going to be no coup again. That is 81. They know all the tricks of their men, and no coup can succeed in Ghana. 1981. A few weeks after that, a coup succeeded. Those who were said and taught to have acquired wealth illegally, unlawfully, had their properties confiscated. Those of you who are old enough can continue with the story. And let the other generations that came after, that didn't go through that experience, get to know the alternative of what we are doing now. The next incident. One of the properties which was located at Joulu, Accra, was given to the unemployed suffering masses. They just moved and occupied there. And one of them was a friend of mine who was a mechanic. He's still a mechanic. So I used to visit him. On one occasion, whilst we were in his room upstairs, we heard a commotion downstairs. So we moved down. I met one of the young men having heated exchanges with the wife. That time, I was a practicing lawyer, having been called to a bar in '82. So they respected me, and I intervened to ask why. And the woman said she struggled to get her money, cooked and pounded fufu. And the husband came from outside. I invited the husband to eat with her and the children. The husband had never given her any money. And when the husband cut one mussel, put it in the mouth, he said, And she said, why? He said, the soup is not tasty. Before the husband could finish, there was a heavy slap, and the mussel fell out from the mouth. And this was what occasioned the commotion downstairs. As I go along, you will understand why I've referred to these incidents. Truly, time moves slowly, but it passes quickly. This was what Alice Walker, the American novelist, wrote. It feels like yesterday when members of the first parliament of the Fourth Republic of Ghana were sworn into office on the 7th of January, 1993. I was among the 200 pioneers of Ghana's fourth attempt at parliamentary democracy. That is the fourth attempt. To think that we have already done 3 decades since then sounds outrageous. But that is how time flies. You hardly notice it until you pause to reflect. And that is why we are here today. During the referendum of 1992, we all massively voted in support of the 1992 Constitution and in support of constitutional rule. And so we adopted the Constitution as a guide. And the lawyers will tell you, including my lords who are here, that the Constitution is not only a legal document, but it is also a political document. This is to guide us both legally, politically, and provide a superstructure and processes for our development. Before then, you recall the PNDC established the NCD, which was the National Commission on Democracy. And it was led by no mean person, but by a retired Supreme Court Judge, Justice Daniel Francis Annan, of blessed memory. And they told the whole country to try to ascertain what next, where do we move on from where we were. And Ghanaians massively voted for politics and parties, professional associations, the national security institutions, students. We were called the Aluta graduates. We were students who throughout, since I entered Legon in '77, we demonstrated throughout the 3 years. A number of us were killed in the fight to return to constitutional rule. And in those days, Legon could be without water for 1 month. And how could academic work continue? There are a lot of things we went through. We want to thank the trade associations, the labor unions, the media, civil society, and our partners in the international community for supporting us to take that path. I think it will be a travesty of justice if we don't also recognize the former speakers of parliament for their contribution to what we are celebrating today. The Right Honourable Justice Daniel Francis Allan, who chaired the NCD, was the pioneer speaker of the first parliament of the Fourth Republic, and he laid a solid foundation for the growth of the institution. The judges have some skills and talents that we don't have. And he managed during those turbulent era to cool down things and for us to move from brow to brains. He did a lot. I was present with him in Parliament to lay that solid foundation for the growth of the institution. Then came the Right Honourable Peter Alajete, an accomplished legal practitioner, president of the Ghana Bar Association, president of the African Bar Association, whose son, Lara Ajete, was the one that partnered me with Chichi Opoku to establish Law Trust, where our illustrious chair used to come for us to Georgia. And that's where he referred to you, to refer to the support we gave him. And we also bought into the shares of his strategic African securities. And he just did some wonders, which amazed all of us. We're so busy practicing law that instead of us joining him at board meetings, we're always absent. And he said that, oh, it looks like you are not interested, so can I pay the value of your shares to you? And we said, yes, well, it's true, we just want the money. Little do we know that he has transformed our money from 5 million to 66 million. So when he handed the 66 million to us, we're confused. We're so overwhelmed. But later on, I discovered he had more than that. Our chairman is one of the pillars of development of this country. He is into many sectors. And he's now an international icon. And when he speaks, his words carry weight. So I wasn't surprised this title was conferred on him. And that was the first time I heard of the term Agogo Mafia. Agogo. This one, if you don't shake, I don't know what will shake you again. Agogo Mafia Togbe Afeti the 14th. Thank you so much for accepting to chair this occasion. Yes, usually I speak 4 hours or more, but today I will not do so. A lot have been said, and I'll skip a lot of areas. But it's important to mention that the achievements that were referred to by the chair are rare. It was in 1993. There was no Parliament House. We had no place to go and sit and conduct business, parliamentary business. So we were permitted to use the International Conference Center, which was just newly built by the PNDC. And we used to sit in the hall, the main hall. Just sit together, because our colleagues in the MPP had boycotted the 1992 parliamentary elections after losing the presidential elections. Because the Constitution gave us the opportunity to do one first, presidential, then parliamentary. And by the nature of the Ghanaian, who will vote for somebody, a party that has lost presidential. And so they saw that going to the parliamentary would have been a waste of resources and time. That is the main reason. So all those Tory verdicts were creations of their imagination. And they boycotted, and so it was the Progressive Alliance that were in parliament. The NDC, the EGLE, independent members, and then the NCD. Is it NCD? Abro. They were called what? NCP. National Convention Party. So we were together, 200 of us. Now, we are talking about 275 members of parliament with a parliamentary premises, which is still borrowed. Where we are is called State House. And so there are areas that we can't even go to without permission from the presidency. So your parliament is still not well anchored. After 30 years, we are still tenants. It's something that you should all think about. Tenants, not of a self-contained premises, but of a chamber and hall. That is why a few years ago, my predecessor spoke about a new chamber block. And then the movement came, drop the chamber now. And it was dropped. Our search was for true democracy. Those of you who have had the benefit of reading the Blue Book, it spoke about true democracy because of the experiences we had. I'm not sure what is happening today is true democracy. But we have stayed the course and remain loyal and committed to multi-party constitutional democratic rule, despite the serious challenges and disappointments. But I want to single out our chiefs, our queen mothers, our queens, the religious leaders, and the civil society leaders for being the pillar of our success so far, not the politicians. The politicians have slipped back into the bad ways, which led to the revolution. Ghanaians are very, very tolerant people, but they are also very volcanic. Take this as a serious statement. We're taking so many things for granted in this country. Ghanaians are very tolerant, but please, they are also volcanic. When they erupt, the consequences are disastrous. But we all know evolution is better than revolution. So please, we should not take what is happening for granted. We have transited from a majoritarian system where you have a large crowd of majority MPs in parliament. And even when the president coughs, that is said to be for the good of the people. And they follow that one. To a parliament now that is hung parliament, equal numbers. I hear people say mere or what? Mere or almost hung. No. It's hung. It's 137, 137. Our ladies, 20 right, 20 left. One person who was rejected by his party and he contested as independent, won and came to Parliament, now became the deciding factor. And he is the one who officially wrote to me that he wants to do business with the MPP members and made them majority. I think now they treasure him. That is why he was made second deputy speaker in spite of his age in Parliament. So if not for our traditional leaders, religious leaders, who are referred to as the true leaders of the people, we wouldn't have gone far. And I want to remind you of what His Excellency the President said, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, at the commemoration of the 30th anniversary celebration of the 1992 Constitution. I want to quote him in extenso. He said, "We should never forget, though, that the Constitution is a living document. And so whenever circumstances require, we should be prepared to make the necessary amendments to affect the needs of contemporary and future times. Constitutions in general do not last very long. The mean lifespan across the world since 1789 is 17 years. 17 years, all over the world, interpreted as the probability of survival at a certain age. The estimates show that 1/2 of constitutions are likely to be dead by age 18. So we are lucky to have been along this for 30 good years. He says through World War I, the average lifespan of a constitution was 21 years. These days, it's only 12 years. But we have 30 good years. So, it causes, and at least as people who are grateful, for us to thank the Almighty God and to celebrate even that achievement alone. 30 good years. You take 32 years from my age, and you see how young I was when I joined Parliament. We decided as a house to lead the celebration after the commemoration. And so far, I can say so good. The attendance today is massive, and we are extremely grateful to all of you for coming. Particularly with the youthfulness of the participants, because they need most of the information I'm sharing with you. The elders have seen it all, and I'm sure many of them will shudder to think of us going the other way, overthrowing the Constitution and doing our own thing. But when all the doors are shut, there is no other way. And you all know it. Prime Minister Winston Churchill is credited with saying the following. I quote him, "Many forms of government have been tried and will be tried in this world of sin and woe. No one pretends that democracy is perfect or all-wise. Indeed, it has been said that democracy is the worst form of government, except that it is better than all those other forms that have been tried from time to time. So even though it's the worst, it's the best of all that have been tried. But there is a broad feeling in our country that people should rule, continuously rule, and that public opinion expressed by all constitutional means should shape, guide, and control the actions of those of us who are elected or appointed to serve the people. The person talking was a war leader before he became prime minister. Winston Churchill, those of you who know the World War II, was the one who intervened and took over from Chamberlain as prime minister of the UK to lead the Allied forces to defeat Germany. Even though Czechoslovakia and the rest had already been given out as a bargain to Germany to stop coming further to conquer Europe. It was Churchill who intervened, military leader. So sometimes our people here in Ghana have been misled that the people in uniform, the military and security personnel, are no good leaders. You've been misled. Because the father of democracy is General Pericles, general of the military. General Pericles. He was the one who originated it in Athens. Today we are made to know that if you are in the military, you can be a good leader. George Washington of US was a military leader. So please, don't disqualify them. To be a good leader, you must have discipline. Many of us who have not passed through the security services lack discipline. I think one of the challenges we have in this country is the lack of discipline. And so this hung parliament is unlike the other parliaments. I now want to urge all of you to let us continue along this for some time. You see the difference. We take time to take decisions, but we build consensus in taking the decision. We don't push it down the throat of many people. I've heard some other voices saying you should not vote that way again. I don't want to see any party with huge majority in parliament. I'm sharing my experiences with you. If you disagree with me, do it and see what will happen. It's very difficult to manage, and as the speaker, I know how I'm struggling to manage it. But in the interest of the nation, that is the way to go. We don't want to have any elected dictatorship. We opted for democracy. We have now also moved from representation to inclusivity. We are not talking about leaving nobody behind, all of us moving together. And as we all know, if you want to move fast, you move alone. I want to move far, you move together. And what has moved us for these 30 years is because we all bought into the 1992 Constitution. We all participated in the drafting of the Constitution. We all voted for the Constitution. So we are moving together. That is what has brought us this far. Go back to the old order and see how long you go or how far you go. So today's theme talks about Parliament and the people, representation, responsiveness, and relevance. That, I believe, is good for us to dilate and expose some of the reasons why we are meeting the challenges that we are meeting. Yes, I agree there have been some successes. But now the challenges are more visible than the successes. Not the successes just in numbers, no. Even in terms of representation, we talk about numbers. And we're talking about numbers, geographical representation. We not talk about social class representation. And so, how many disabled are in Parliament? The highest we ever got was 5%. Now it's 0. How many physically challenged are in Parliament? The highest we ever got was 5.5%. Now it's 0. How are our elections conducted? Public auctions. What are politicians talking about today? Parochial interests, not national interests. The interest of the party, the interest of a region, the interest of a tribe, the interest of the individual. We're not talking about the nation. If we are not able to build a nation, we'll be having this kind of checkered development. We'll be moving like how we dance. All the tribes in Ghana I know dance that way. Is that not what you dance? We go forward and we go backwards. We walk like the chameleon. And with that, you can't go far. So there's a lot for us to do. We don't have our traditions. We don't have our culture represented in Parliament. Nobody develops on the traditions and values of another society. It doesn't happen anywhere. The Arabs are ahead of us because you can never get the Arab to be speaking English and not Arabic. Language. We don't say we must have one language in Ghana. We can identify key languages that we study. And within the shortest possible time, we'll all be multilingual. And then we can communicate better, share our ideas. But the white man's language, where we speak through our noses, some people don't even understand. And that is what is referred to as education in Ghana. If you can parrot well, then you are a good material. Those who have done mostly mathematics, numbers, and the rest who can parrot well, they are not counted as good material, as good leaders. I think we got it wrong. So the gains that we've made, they've been serious reversals. And this is the time for us to ponder over it, go through why we are where we are. Many countries who were behind us came to Ghana and they studied our system, and they are doing better than us now. I'm not just talking about Rwanda. Even South Africa, where we were saved from going that way by iconic lawyers like John Mensah Saba, they prevented the Crown Lands Bill from taking root in Ghana, which was what was passed in South Africa. And the colonial masters took over the lands there and made the indigenous landless and introduced apartheid. John Mensah Saba and his group fought, and he went to the House of Commons to argue out and won for it to be withdrawn. We don't celebrate them. We only celebrate the later days since. We need to educate ourselves on all this history. Because if you don't know where you are coming from, you will never know where you are going. We were all carried away by Osofo Davze and his group, who were singing, "We are going Heavens know where we are going. We know we will. You don't know where you are going. Only the heavens know where you are going. But you are sure you will. If you don't know where you are going, any route will get you there. And I think it's time for us to redefine the route. Get a national development plan and vision where we will all buy into it. Get everybody once again on board, like the 1992 Constitution did. And then we're moving in one direction. Not for NDC to win. Change the direction. For MPP to win and change the direction. And we leave a lot of uncompleted projects, wasting a lot of national resources, and going to beg the IMF to salvage us when we know that the IMF have never supported any society to develop. No society in the world has developed through the assistance of the IMF. So we've been there 17 times, and we are worse off. Yes, we are there again, cap in hand begging for salvation. So please, I'm saying all this because I don't want you to lose interest in our chosen course. It's the right decision to go the democratic way. But we need to look at some issues that are debilitating. The House, the institution of Parliament, that is to lead this whole journey, is the one that is the weakest. Not just because of the attrition rate, but the institution itself, which is made up of the parliamentary service, which is made up of the police service. We have now getting to about 500 police officers in Parliament, supporting us to do our work. We have the health service, and we have a medical center led by 5 doctors in Parliament, large staff of all the medical mix. We have the fire service. We have national security operatives. We have the media. They are all part of the parliamentary community. So when we are budgeting, we budget money to cover all this. The office of the president alone can get 3 billion Ghana cedis as budget. The whole parliament as an institution can get 500 million. What is the difference? 3 billion for office of the president, 500 million for the whole institution of parliament. But parliament is the one being called upon to hold that president in check and make sure that he does the right thing. How can that be done? We all wish that we held this fora every year so that we can exchange ideas. Your members can learn from you. Take your wise counsel and go and improve on what they are doing. But where is the means to organize those things? The members want to reach out to their constituents. No member after being elected into parliament wants to lose the next election. But when you elect them, you don't support them with any other means to survive for the 4 years. You only pay them their salaries, which is earned by any public servant. But nobody gives them money to come to their constituency, to tour the constituency, to visit community to community, to interact with the people. Nobody. Nobody gives them money to go to the churches, the weddings, the outdoorings, the traditional festivals, and to donate money. And the expectation is for them to donate more than the ordinary people. Many people don't know this. because they've taken a loan and they bought a four-way drive. Now, how can you take a bicycle to ride from Accra to Ho and to tour communities on the bicycle? Can anybody do it? How can you use an Uber to come from Accra to what is the most difficult constituency? My colleagues, members of parliament. Huh? Which one? You see, they are all mentioning their constituencies. How can you use an Uber to tour even a Shaiman? So they are compelled to give them very turgid, strong land cruisers as loans. And they come around. And when I hear members say our MPs don't visit us, I've gone through it, so I know what it means. So what do we do to empower the leading institution? The people that you struggle to campaign for, you line up for the whole day to vote for, to go and make your life better. How do we empower them to make your life better? The appointees of government, the executive, are rather better off than the people that you vote for. And it's the president and parliament that appoints them. It's not only the parliament, the president, because the constitution is very clear. They must first get prior approval of parliament before the president can appoint them. So if parliament says no, that's your end. That is the concept, but the practice is different. So we need to go back and do the right thing. Our parliament has grown, and as we stand now, we lead the whole Commonwealth of 182 parliaments. The Ghana Parliament is the president of all the parliaments in the Commonwealth, 182, and I stand here as the president of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. We also formed a conference of speakers and heads of parliaments in Africa. Ghana, again, is heading that, and I stand as the president of that conference, speakers and heads of parliaments in Africa. We organized a conference this year for the Commonwealth, and it was adjudged by them, speakers from Europe. The one who spoke on their behalf was the speaker from Australia. He said that was the best organized conference of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association they ever experienced. Ghana stands tall when it comes to these things. This information was not given to you, and so you are hearing it for the first time. So please, we have achieved a lot, but the backsliding, as I said, is more visible. And so you have a lot of allegations of corruption, a lot of things that are said to be wrong. There are some misrepresentations. There are some outright falsehoods. But at least there is a grain of truth in what is also said and published. And so what do? We need to first look at the basic document, that is the legal and political framework, the Constitution, that is guiding us in this journey. And that is why I want to call on all of you to support the process to revise the 1992 Constitution. I've given you the lifespan of constitutions all over the world, and we have reached 30. So it's long overdue. We have to relook at it. We are all worried about the overbearing power of the executive. It's in the Constitution. We have to go to it and share and diffuse the power. We talk about MPs also being ministers of state, which is difficult to serve two masters. We have to look at it. Do we still want it to continue, or we have to change it? And that is why Ghanaians should be grateful to the minority caucus in Parliament. We just use the term minority because to organize the House, you need to have those caucuses. If not, on daily basis, they are majority on the floor of Parliament. And we take decisions to further the course of governance. My friends in the majority who are in power, they know this, because many of them are ministers and deputy ministers. Those who are not ministers and deputy ministers are on boards and state institutions. They are chief executives of some other places. They are never in Parliament. Yet the business is going on. We are passing laws. We are approving loans. We are doing all those things. It's only a few occasions when there are critical matters, we have to give them time. And as a speaker, I always have to this time not be impartial. I think of the national interest. And so my colleagues in the NDC will be unhappy with me that sometimes I give the MPP the opportunity to marshal their numbers to come and vote, to take a decision to push the national agenda forward. Yet, we are not being commended. We are being condemned by the same people that we are supporting. I have to make all this known to you so that you can guide your members, advise them as the leaders of the society for us to do the right thing. The budget, for example, you realize we had to adjourn for 1 week. Why? Because the government party could not marshal their numbers. Somewhere in the US. Others were on official duty somewhere. And the difference is 137, 138. The NDC 137 person is sick and on admission outside. So they are 136. So if two members of the government party are out, it's 136, 136, the vote is lost. And I have to handle it. Now, it's not my duty to please my party, NDC. It's not my duty to please the MPP. It's my duty to please Ghanaians, the national interest. So any issue that comes before Parliament, I have an interest. That one, I don't shy away from it. So this impartiality is a concept of you not delving into partisanship in the performance of your functions. So you will keep on changing your MPs, you'll be reaping the same results because the day is not there for them to do anything. And so if you don't take time, your wife who has struggled to cook all the food for you to eat will give you that heavy slap and the muzzle will come out of your mouth. We need, as I started from the very beginning, to also handle our attitude, taking so many things for granted. You have all of us against corruption. There's nobody in Ghana that is for corruption. We all agree it's wrong. But one person, as your representative, is called upon to pay all the school fees, pay all the hospital bills, donate the highest in the church, at the festival, go around using his own money to campaign. The parties don't exist. They only come on board when it's election time. For 4 years, they are working, not doing any business, full-time MP. Yet, they are to enjoy money and to be able to do all this without being corrupt. Not even Angel Gabriel can do this. So in looking at this journey, let's think through what is the other alternative. Can we continue this way? In Rwanda, no candidate uses his own money to campaign. The state takes all. And in Parliament, no MP is called upon to come and pay school fees or hospital bill. My members, I'll be presiding, then one will get up and give me a signal. then send a paper, note. Then my usher, who is La Jagla, he's here, will bring it to me. There's an accident in my constituency, and they say my executive so and so is involved. So I have to rush there. All of a sudden, the MP is on the way going. You sit down and see the house and say, where are your MPs? They are not doing their work. They are not there. Meanwhile, that day, a number of institutions, constitutional bodies, would have invited the same MPs to their functions. Festivals have invited them. We need to think through all this and see what we can do to solve the problem. I'm just raising them, not because I support what they are doing, no, but I think that we need the support of the people who made us what we are. Let me emphasize one thing before I hand over to you to ask questions and give us pieces of advice and contributions. I also think that even though we approve the Constitution, there are a number of things in the Constitution that we are not following. The framers of the Constitution are aware of the challenges I've mentioned. How have we fared with the judiciary? When we are talking about the arms of government, we only mention judiciary. Just along the line, have we strengthened them? Is it humanly possible for a judge to preside over 2,000 cases? Is it? And what are the resources for them? What is the support? Just like the MPs. MPs all over the world have offices in Parliament and offices at the constituency. Those offices at the constituency are state-owned, and they are supported with staff, both partisan staff and technical staff to operate. The judiciary, how do we support them? All what we know is president. So the president can have 2,000 staff. The whole parliament, we have about 600 staff. And so when the president wants security, commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, he can get about 300 to secure him. The speaker is supposed not to have one military officer. Yet the EC can have a regimental group. That is the democracy that we are practicing. That is not what is in the Constitution. We have constitutional commissions. We have ignored all of them. What we are doing, we shouldn't be doing it. The NCC should be doing it. Civic education. NCC, they are only giving salaries and nothing else to do. But we have offices of NCC from national to district level. We are not using them. Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. We all know what we put them there to fight for. Today, we decided to establish even the Office of the Special Prosecutor to do the same thing of fighting corruption. Instead of strengthening the Attorney General's department to be handling prosecution, this is where we are going. When the Constitution is very clear as to which organ or body has the mandate to prosecute in the court. Yet Parliament was compelled to pass a law to appoint somebody which I usually say is work in futility. You can't achieve anything. He hasn't got that constitutional mandate. That mandate is in the Attorney General. Yet we say he's independent. Keep on deceiving yourselves. This is where we are. Do we know where we are going? No. Only heavens know. How is civil society performing? The media, where are they? We think that is private enterprise. The state is not supporting them. Establish a radio station. Get your boys and girls to go there. Insult as much as you can. And nothing happens to you. The society is deteriorating. We have to use this opportunity to think through this so that after next year's election, the next government, we have to get the government to lead us to make some critical changes, or else we will not go far. These young men and women behind us here will erupt in a volcano. We, the elderly ones, can no longer run. We have nowhere to go. And we don't want to die, even though heaven is better than here. So please, I don't want to stress the agency. Parliament decided, under my leadership, to do a few things. And so now, we have established departments that can listen to you. Initially, we had one called Public Affairs. We have broken it down into 3. So you have media relations. That's why you have Mr. Damois here. Then you have public engagement. That is why you have Superintendent Efia Tenge here. Then you have broadcasting, where we'll be broadcasting live for all of you to see, listen to, and be able to assess the behavior of your MPs in Parliament. Not only what they say, but what they also do. We have established a bureau, Citizens Bureau, where all information on Parliament will be available. We'll put it on the website. You don't need to come to us, sit anywhere, click the button, and you get the information you want. We have done that. We have changed our rules because, as I said, it's not a majoritarian system. It's now a hung parliament. And I foresee in the near future a minority government in Ghana, a president with minority members of parliament in parliament. How do you operate? So we have come out with new standing orders, which will take effect from next year. And in that standing orders, all committees we are establishing, the media are permitted to enter and participate in the proceedings. That is the openness, that is the transparency, that is the accountability we want to shine into the work of Parliament, so that you know what your representatives are doing. Don't listen to rumors, perceptions, and misrepresentations. You yourself can get the evidence. That is how come our Parliament was adjudged the most open and transparent Parliament in Africa. Every day I receive so many petitions. Petitions from Ghanaians, associations, and the rest, because they don't know how to engage Parliament. So they think it should be through the Speaker. The Speaker is not a member of Parliament. My colleagues will say, queer member of Parliament, but he is also a member of the House. Because without the Speaker, the House cannot sit. So the Speaker is also a member of the House, but he's not a member of Parliament. But the House is defined in our standing orders as Parliament. So he is a member of Parliament, but not a voting member. And so this is the complex nature of the system we opted for ourselves and we'll be struggling to implement. With that, we have opened ourselves up for scrutiny. With that, we are inviting you to support the arm that has been mandated to ensure that your trust is accounted for. You trust the president, that's why you vote for them. You trust the members of parliament, that's why you vote for them. So when we are talking about accountability, we're not talking about accountability in terms of only money. Accountability of the trust. We trusted our lands in the hands of the president. Our minerals, natural resources in the hands of the president, the almighty president, the head of state, the head of government, the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, the patron of the party that is in power, the one that finances everything. The party members are looking forward to him for the booties to come. Not the party members are contributing to support him to lead, but they are all looking up for him to get the money to share down there for them to even go to the next village to campaign. Yet he is not supposed to be corrupt. I don't know how many industries, factories, or whatever business they can make. Maybe my very good friend, the chair, who is a whiz or shark in how to make money, may lead us as to how our president can make money with our contributions from the people. And so we keep on going to borrow. And now we are neck deep. So the IMF can come with conditionalities. And I'm sure very soon they will come and say that no man should sleep with his wife again. That time, I think we'll now all wake up and say that for this time, no. That is how come that the rich rice we produce in Ghana, we don't like it. But we like some rice they call perfume rice. How can rice be perfumed? That is why when even I wear the costume of my chiefs to preside, some Ghanaians prefer that I should wear the gown, which is the costume of the King of UK, to preside. And I said, no, this boy will not go by that one. And they said, I'm behaving like a village chief. If this is how the village chief behaves, I love it. And I will want to be a village chief. We will continue to market the uniqueness of the Ghanaian, the values that we imbibe. That is what we will fight for. That is what we can market for others to buy it, for us to get money to develop. Please, I'm very passionate about this matter. And I'm praying that this generation, Gen Z generation, should imbibe that. There's no way cool when you go outside and you see the Ghanaians outside suffer. You wonder why they are there. Here is better, but you are not there. So they keep on deceiving you. Then when you go inside, you can't come out. And that is fish out of water. When fish gets out of water, what is the next thing? It's death. So out of the 1 million Ghanaians that go out, you don't even have up to 1,000 coming back home. You haven't taken the numbers into consideration. But on a daily basis, the Western media is able to deceive you to think that that place is heaven. And then you go. I met a doctor in Dubai who gave me a very chilling story. A Ghanaian young lady left to Saudi. I hope they will not say this is a diplomatic faux pas. But it is something that I should tell Ghanaians because it's a good lesson. She went there as a house help. One day, the baby slipped through her hand and fell and was unconscious. So the baby had to be rushed to hospital. This poor girl was weeping because that is a cardinal sin. She was rushed to the next court and convicted of murder. And the parent, the father, was asked to do the execution, sentenced to death. And he was taken to the gallows, and the head was cut off. Before that was done, she was weeping that they should give her opportunity to talk to the mother. She never got that opportunity. The baby woke up in the hospital and was later transferred to Germany, where the baby was treated and grew to be a young boy, but was under observation in Germany. The dad visited the child, and the child rushed and was playing with the dad, and the dad was weeping. So the doctor asked the dad, "Are you not happy your child is alive and playing with you?" He said, It took days before the man narrated the story to the medical doctor that this is what happened. And so seeing his child alive and playing with him, but he hasn't been compelled by their law to execute the house help, is something that he couldn't take. This is a lesson for you. Keep on going outside. If you go through the Saudi Arabia embassy every week, not less than 50 young girls pass through there to go to abroad to do those odd jobs. Not less than 50 on a weekly basis. The statistics are there. Please, Ghana is the promised land. We are the center of the world. We are the heart of the world. It's the land of gold. We are so blessed that even the United Nations, the black race, the first person that presided over the General Secretary, a General Assembly of the United Nations, came from where? Ghana. Alex Kwesi-Saki. The first person from the black race that became the Secretary General of the United Nations is from where? Ghana. Kofi Annan. The first black country south of the Sahara to gain independence and to lead the liberation of the whole African continent is from where? Ghana. The man of the century in Africa is from where? Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah. The first black person to enter the Legislative Council in British colonial empire is John Mensah's father, Mensah Saba's father, called John Saba, 1888. Ghana. Yet we don't love ourselves. We don't value ourselves. What else should God do for you? Even at election time, when you are at the breaking point, God will intervene and save the nation. Even during my election, when ballot papers were being chewed, I said, Mom, what should God do for you again? Please, sometimes I have to go this far because I am getting a bit worried, very worried about where we are going. And because I conquered fear long ago, I speak it as it is. And some people don't like it. But this is how I'm also made, waiting until the time that the Almighty God will call me. Then I'll go into heaven to enjoy with him. Those that will make the mistake of participating in my death will come and meet me as a senior there. And I don't know what you recommend I should do to them. But I know in that place, we don't hate any person. We welcome everybody. So I'll welcome them into the kingdom of God. It's with this, I want to thank all of you for your patience, for listening to another epistle according to the Right Honourable Speaker. Thank you so much.
I believe we will have to give Right Honourable Speaker another round of applause.